CMC, and now Deebo is out with a calf. Told Shanahan he was injured on this play right before the half in Minnesota. He's expected to miss a, quote, couple of weeks. Brew, we'll start with you here. Do you think Purdy is in trouble without two of his Avengers?
He's not in trouble, but it's certainly a good challenge. I mean, it's a challenge. You take Deebo's been their #1 receiver this year. Now, I think Ayuk has the last 2 years, but right now, Deebo's been leading them. He's got more receptions than Kittle.
Training camp matters.
Right, yeah. I agree. But take the #1 receiver and an all-pro running back off any team, and they're going to feel it. All right,
they're like
Josh
the only
Allen
team with an all-pro running back, so it's hard.
No, but take away. We saw the Philly last night without AJ Brown, and it was different.
Yeah.
Take Saquon off of them too, and see how different they look. All right, Josh Allen doesn't have Stephon Diggs. He's averaging 185 yards a game.
Yeah, he's playing okay.
I'm just but he's averaging 185 passing yards a game. If Brock Purdy were doing what Josh Allen was doing outside of the running, we'd be saying, oh, he's just managing the game.
So that's what Josh Allen is doing.
Well, he's running.
Right, but he said outside of the running.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
So Josh Allen hasn't been the Superman. I thought he was Superman first game. My point is that you mentioned the Rams, and I know they've lost some offensive linemen, but Matthew Stafford lost Puka Nacua and eventually Cooper Kupp. And he struck. They scored 10 points last week.
Right, but if he had lost those guys and still had George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, I think we'd think he's going to be okay.
George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk are really good. Other teams have guys just as good as them and better.
Yeah.
I mean, those two aren't like. Purdy's got a challenge in front of him, but my point is take talent off any team at those two positions, and the quarterback's going to have a challenge. Right. I think he'll be fine, but it's a good challenge for him.
But the great thing that they have is Jordan Mason's averaging 5.1 yards a carry. So they lost CMC, which, again, that's a problem. But when the guy that comes in is averaging 5.1 yards a carry, that's a great situation. So let's say the running game is fine. And then with Brandon Ayuk, really these last 2 games have been like his preseason. And so he's got, I think, 71 yards receiving, which is 100 less than he had through the first 2 games last year. So if he now pops this game and he's been almost like disappeared the first 2. So now if he takes Deebo Samuel's role in moving forward until Deebo gets back, so that's a replacement piece that he has, and you still have a great tight end. So he should be fine. And I agree, if you take talent off of any team, it's not going to be as good. But the running game is excellent, and you've got an outstanding receiver to replace your outstanding receiver.
Yeah. So
and Juwan Jennings has played pretty well.
So I mean, here, listen, Purdy's only played 40 snaps in his entire career. I'm sorry, thrown 40 passes in his whole career with neither of these guys on the field. Mm-hmm. So he will match that in the next week and a half. You know what I mean? So it will be new. What we do know is without just one of them, the team and he have struggled. Like it's not a tiny sample size, not a huge sample size. We can show it to you, I think, with missing either Deebo or Christian McCaffrey. Instead of being 12-1, they're 1-4. Instead of having a 4-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, he has a half touchdown interception ratio. Instead of having the highest passer rating in league history, he has a well below average passer rating. So in this limited sample we have, says, oh, it's a big difference. The point I was trying to make is that these are great players that he's missing. I think the Niners, without Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle, now, in this moment, have I'm sorry, I misspoke. Without having Christian McCaffrey and Deebo, with the team they're going to trot out there on Sunday, have league average talent.
Okay.
I think that Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, a backup running back who has played well, but he's a backup, you think above average.
He's not as good of a receiver as McCaffrey.
But
running the ball.
If you're put into a game and you're averaging 5.1 yards carry, that's pretty good.
Sure, but okay, so call it maybe, I was trying to be kind to Brock when I was calling it league average. Like, I think that the silver lining for the Niners is this is actually really good informationally.
That's right.
You're getting to see how Brock will operate under the circumstances he likely will have to operate if and when he gets this big contract. Like
the silver lining is they didn't trade Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, yeah, that part too.
That's a silver lining, especially in this situation.
And so I want to say one thing about Jordan Mason's numbers, because I think San Francisco will always run the ball well.
Yeah.
I think it is almost irrelevant as far as them being able to run the ball. It's almost irrelevant who the running back is. Mm-hmm. The difference is whether or not you're running the ball well while the team is scheming to stop the run, or running the ball well when the team is scheming more to stop the pass. Where I think Purdy has benefited the most from having Christian out there saying, we have to stop Christian. They can't, and teams are still trying to do that first, so he's getting cleaner looks passing the football. I think at this point, that could flip a bit. Where
they're still based off play action. So if you're defending them, you're always trying to stop the run.
Yeah, but I think that defensively, from Brian Flores went into that game on Sunday saying, okay, if Jordan Mason goes off, we'll deal with it to a degree, but I'm going to make Purdy's life hell. I think that's harder to do when Christian McCaffrey is there, because Christian McCaffrey can ruin your game for you. So it will be informationally really interesting. It is what I've asked to see.
That's what I was saying. If he comes out and cooks.
If he comes out, listen, they have to do great in their next 3 games. Because, and we can talk about this more later, but I don't know if we can show the schedule. Rams, who are ravaged by injury, the Patriots, the Cardinals are the next 3. And then I think they have the toughest half-dozen game stretch of any team in the league this year. After that, it's Seattle, Kansas City, Dallas, Tampa, Seattle, Green Bay, Buffalo. So they can't afford to stumble in these next 3, because that middle, the bottom of the first column, the entire middle column, and the top of the second column is brutal.
Look at the Bears there.
I said Buffalo, but I think the Bears defense is quite good. I don't know if you think they have a terrible quarterback play and they're 1-1. Something's got to be good.
What's Will Levis? 2 of the preseason powerhouses in the NFC, Dallas and San Francisco, both sitting at 500. This weekend, 49ers play the winless but tough Rams, while the Cowboys play the winless but tough Ravens. So overall, which team are you more concerned about, San Francisco or Dallas?
I think San Francisco is the #1 pick in the SBOB draft. I don't think there's another team in the league that is more Super Bowl or bust than San Francisco. So my answer is San Francisco. San Francisco has so many key guys that are free agents. A guy like Deebo, who's not a free agent, but we anticipate could be being traded a year from now because they paid Ayuk. The decision to make with Purdy, all of this, they have to be excellent. The Cowboys, listen, for Mike McCarthy, you can be concerned. Everything else is locked up. You know what I mean? Mike is not, he will be. They don't have a ton of pending free agents except for Zach Martin, who I imagine they'll retain. He's a future Hall of Famer. And they also have the benefit, in my opinion, Coach, of the far easy, they can stumble in the regular season and win that division. I think the NFC East looks like a woebegone division at the moment. The Giants are hopeless. Washington is breaking in a new quarterback.
Risky.
And Philadelphia, I think, is middling. Meanwhile, the NFC West. Everybody's viable.
Yep.
I mean, the Rams are really banged up, but I think they'll be a harder team later in the year.
Dino looks good.
So to me, all of a sudden, it can get late early for San Francisco. So, Coach or Brew, I think San Francisco is the team that you're more worried about. Well,
look, San Francisco's, I think, much better than Dallas when healthy. But because they're not healthy, like they're not a Super Bowl team right now, without Deebo and McCaffrey. And strained calves, look, they were talking about McCaffrey might play in the first game. Now he's on IR. So who knows, especially as a running back, when this is going to get fixed. And same thing for Deebo. And we know Deebo's had injury problems, in his past. So that scares me for the Niners and all the things you said. But Dallas, I just don't think is nearly as good. I agree their division isn't as tough this year. And so I think Dallas, they got Baltimore next. That's like a must. We talked about that.
Yeah.
That's a double must win. And then they got the Giants. Obviously, they can beat them. Then Pittsburgh, Detroit, San Francisco, Atlanta, and Philly. So they've got to get it together. I tend to agree with a lot of what you said, Nick, because San Francisco, it is Super Bowl or bust, and they're just not healthy.
Coach thinks we're crazy.
To me, it's absolutely the opposite. So they're going to get Deebo back. They're going to get CMC back. And what Dallas is averaging 3.7 yards a carry, their next answer is Dalvin Cook. That's who's coming back. That's their next option. Whereas San Francisco, who's averaging 5.1 yards a carry, with a very promising and exciting alternative at running back, is going to get CMC back. And Dallas just got their head beat in at home. And we don't know, maybe it's all about the Saints, but there's probably some bigger problems here underlying where they are. So for San Francisco, the talent is there. They're dinged up, but these aren't long-term injuries right now. Dallas doesn't have any other answers on the roster to improve their situation. And San Francisco has benefited Brandon Ayuk not playing well.